2. These mystical experiences have long fascinated psychologists, neuroscientists, and anthropologists alike. 3. In many cultures, shamans, prophets, and seers are marked by their susceptibility to hallucinations. 4. Are hallucinations caused by ghosts or spirits? 5. Are they messages from another world? 6. Although researchers don't have all the answers, there is some intriguing information on the topic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Introduction D1. In the Arctic tundra, temperatures are below freezing for 9 months out of the year. 2. Soil in the Arctic, called permafrost, remains permanently frozen, making agriculture impossible. 3. Travel over the land, whether covered in snow and ice in the winter or in boggy marshes during the summer, is extremely difficult. 4. And perhaps most distressing of all, the sun shines for only 6 months out of the year. 5. Yet this foreboding landscape has been inhabited for more than 12,000 years, longer than any other part of North America. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Core concept. Reading 51. Introduction E1. Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America studies the interplay between political power and society. 2. The treatise was the first of its kind and was revolutionary for its use of empirical methods, which were more common in the hard sciences, chemistry, biology, and physics than in the social sciences. 3. Tocqueville distinguished himself from his colleagues by viewing democracy not as a system based on freedom but as one based on power. 4. In fact, Tocqueville argues that democracy is a form of government with more power than any other governmental system. 1, 2, 3, 4. 52. Cracking the TOEFL IBT answers to drill number 2. As is always the case with our sample written answers, your answers do not have to look exactly like ours. Just be sure the main ideas are similar. Introduction A1. This sentence introduces the main question of the passage. 2. This sentence states what the question is. 3. This sentence gives an answer to the question. 4. This sentence makes a more specific statement about the topic. Introduction B1. This sentence introduces the topic of the passage. 2. This sentence provides background about the topic. 3. This sentence provides more background about the topic. 4. This sentence makes a statement about the topic. Introduction C1. This sentence asks a question about the topic. 2. This sentence states who is interested in the topic. 3. This sentence provides more information about the topic. 4. This sentence asks another question about the topic. 5. This sentence asks another question about the topic. 6. This sentence states that some answers will be provided about the topic. Introduction D1. This sentence introduces the topic. 2. This sentence gives more support for sentence 1. 3. This sentence gives more support for sentence 1. 4. This sentence gives more support for sentence 1. 5. This sentence indicates a contrast to the previous sentences. Introduction E1. This sentence introduces the topic. 2. This sentence explains why the topic is important. 3. This sentence indicates why the topic is different. 4. This sentence states a viewpoint. You should notice that all of these paragraphs have similar structures. The important stuff is at the beginning and the end, which is typical. The TOEFL is a standardized test and therefore uses the same types of passages and questions repeatedly. So, you should expect to see a similar structure on your test. 2. Core concept. Reading 53. What is the structure of a body paragraph? Body paragraphs, just like introduction paragraphs, also share a similar structure. Here's an example of a typical body paragraph. 1. The harsh terrain demanded much of its inhabitants. 2. Many residents of the tundra were nomadic, moving about in small bands, following the migrations of caribou, seals, and whales. 3. Cooperation among groups was essential for survival in this land, and the cultures developed elaborate rituals of reciprocity. 4. Groups of hunters often waited patiently at the various breathing holes used by seals. 5. If one hunter caught a seal, all would eat of it. 6. Bravery was also rewarded, as evidenced by the Inupiaq people, who risked death by wandering far across sea ice to hunt seals. Now we'll look at this paragraph in terms of FITS structure. 1. This sentence states the specific topic discussed, that much is demanded of people. 2. This sentence gives an example of something demanded. 3. This sentence gives an example of how the people adapted. 4. This sentence provides a detail related to sentence 3. 5. This sentence provides an additional detail related to sentence 3. 6. This sentence gives an example of something else demanded. Looking at the paragraph this way, you can clearly see that these body paragraphs are all about details. Of course, these details are all closely related to the topic sentence. This means that when dealing with body paragraphs on the TOEFL, you should proceed as follows. 1. Read the topic sentence carefully. Make sure you are looking in the right paragraph for the information you need. 2. Sort through the specific details until you find what you need. It is easy to get distracted by all the information in a body paragraph. Stay focused on the information you need. Reading the body paragraphs will help you answer detail and inference questions. When answering main idea or primary purpose questions, do not read more than the first sentence of the body paragraphs. The information found in the body paragraphs is too narrow. We'll cover these question types more thoroughly in Chapter 7. Types of body paragraphs. The body paragraph we just read supports the author's views. Most body paragraphs on the TOEFL will be of this type. However, some passages have body paragraphs that present an opposing point of view. Usually, these show up in passages that try to resolve a dilemma or convince the reader of something. By stating contradictory opinions, an author provides a more complete understanding of a topic and makes the main point stronger. 54. Cracking the TOEFL IBT. You can usually tell when you are reading a body paragraph that contradicts the author by reading the first sentence. The first sentence may have a transition word that indicates the author is now discussing an opposing point of view. Here's an example of such a paragraph. 1. Of course, not everyone agrees that the program's creations are alive. 2. One difficulty is that biologists do not even agree on the definition of life. 3. The diversity of life on Earth constantly surprises scientists, and there are simply too many characteristics and qualities to provide one simple definition of life. Again, here's the structure of the paragraph. 1. This sentence presents an opposite point of view. 2. This sentence explains why some biologists disagree with the author's position. 3. This sentence supports sentence 2. The first sentence states, of course, not everyone agrees. This sentence indicates that this paragraph will contradict the author. It is important to recognize these types of paragraphs, especially when answering main idea or primary purpose questions on the TOEFL. 2. Core concept. Reading 55. Drill number 3. Analyzing body paragraphs. State the role of each sentence in the following paragraphs. Also note whether the paragraph appears to support or contradict the passage. Body paragraph A. 1. The harsh terrain demanded much of its inhabitants. 2. Many residents of the tundra were nomadic, moving about in small bands, following the migrations of caribou, seals, and whales. 3. Cooperation among groups was essential for survival in this land, and the cultures developed elaborate rituals of reciprocity. 4. Groups of hunters often waited patiently at the various breathing holes used by seals. 5. If one hunter caught a seal, all would eat of it. 6. Bravery was also rewarded, as evidenced by the Inupiaq people, who risked death by wandering far across sea ice to hunt seals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Supports or contradicts. 56. Cracking the TOEFL IBT. Body paragraph B. 1. Without human interference, many of the threatened or endangered fauna would reclaim their ecological niches. 2. Unfortunately, household pets would suffer. 3. In addition, the rat, one of the greatest pests in large cities, would not have the waste of humankind to feed off of and would be hunted mercilessly by growing populations of hawks and falcons. 4. And the cockroach, which to many a city dweller seems to symbolize invincibility, would disappear from all but the warmest climes without artificial heat to sustain it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Supports or contradicts. Body paragraph C. 1. According to surveys, anywhere from 10 to 25% of the population has experienced at least one hallucination. 2. Most often, the hallucination comes in the form of some visual experience, but some people report hearing a sound or even voices. 3. Even rarer, but not unheard of, is a hallucination of a particular smell or aroma. 4. It is not known exactly what causes hallucinations, although one commonly accepted theory is that hallucinations occur when the external stimulus received by the senses no longer matches the level of activity occurring in the brain. 5. Sensory deprivation is one of the surest ways to elicit hallucinations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Supports or contradicts. 2. Core concept. Reading 57. Body paragraph D. 1. Another connection between the lower classes and the centralization of power is literacy, or more accurately, illiteracy. 2. In aristocratic societies, widespread illiteracy did not result in the consolidation of power because the social structure was so segmented. 3. But in an egalitarian society, the intermediate agencies vanished. 4. Without these agencies acting on behalf of the less informed citizenry, the responsibility falls to the government. 5. Centralization is therefore necessary